Hello and welcome to Old Nerd Reads his Marvel Comics in Order. This is episode 90. This time I read Conan the Barbarian number 70, the January 1977 issue. But to kick things off, I'm going to have a little Horshay Mashaba Shiba. I forget what this coffee's called, but it's got a double shot of espresso in it. Very frothy and very sweet and tasty. And in my Kalyanka mug. That's Swedish for Donald Duck, you know. Anyway, this issue, my copy, not in the nicest of condition. Not terrible. Ugh, got a pretty nasty tear right there. Corner's missing. Pages are very yellowed. Well, not very yellowed, but definitely the top half are getting more yellow than the bottom half for some reason. This one, this has a couple interesting bits about it. Let's start with the first thing. Okay, well, before that, Roy Thomas, writer editor, he was a writer on Conan forever. John Buscema, who took over as the regular artist after Barry Windsor Smith, and Ernie Chan. This is interesting. Ernie Chan, formerly Chua. I always want. I somehow I knew that Ernie Chan and Ernie Chua were the same person, but I didn't understand why the change. And the letters page of this issue explains it. So when we get to the letters page, I'll go through that. Another interesting thing. This comic was freely adapted from the story Marchers of Valhalla by Robert E. Howard, creator of Conan. Now, I just so happen to own this, Marchers of Valhalla. I haven't read it yet, of course, just like most of my books. But this collection of stories was first published in 1972. This comic, of course, came out in late 76, early 77. I forget exactly how that works. But so Roy Thomas would have probably read these stories recently, and incorporated them into this Conan story. Now, these stories, Marchers of Valhalla, it's a collection of short stories that Robert E. Howard would have submitted to, like, Weird Tales and those pulp magazines back in the day. But there is one story in here called The Marchers of Valhalla, and what this book contains, all these short stories, are based on a recurring character that Howard came up with named James Allison. James Allison, in these stories, he recalls past lives of being a Viking warrior in prehistoric North America. And so this collection of stories in here takes place, I don't know if it would be around the same time as the Conan stories take place. I'm not sure. But basically, Vikings invade North America and they fight with the remnants of an Atlantean race of warriors. And I guess what happens at the end of this collection is there's a great flood. And it wipes out everybody, or maybe it just wipes out the Atlanteans, like Great Atlantis, sunken Atlantis. I'm not sure. But after doing my research, seeing that when I read this, finding that I had this, looking it up online and seeing what it was all about, like, I'm pretty interested in reading this now. Anything Atlantis, I think, is pretty intriguing. But anyway, back to Old Nerd reading his Marvel Comics in Order. If you're new here, what I'm doing is I'm going through my collection and I'm reading my Marvel Comics in publishing date order, and I make a video on each issue that I read. So if that sounds cool, please subscribe. But anyway, this story, Conan is with his love, Balit, the pirate queen, and they're on her boat with her crew. They're fighting a storm in the very beginning, and it's got a really interesting art style here where they really make it feel like you're in a rainstorm. This the white hatching going on throughout it. All these first few pages looks really cool. And it goes on while they're fighting the storm. It's really neat. I mean, it barely even looks like John Buscema in some of these because of this white hatching that's showing the rain. But once they come out of the rain, that technique is set aside, and we get back to the John Buscema artwork that we know and love. And now Ernie Chan doing the inks. I forget who inked the last couple issues. I've read a few of these so far. These are some of the earliest Conans in my collection. But I can't remember who was inking when Ernie Chan wasn't there. If they discover this golden city, which I assume is probably what happens in these stories. Like the Viking warriors land on North American continent and discover a golden city, and it's, an ancient race of Atlanteans, and fights ensue. I'm not real sure. But they come ashore, and the gates to this city open, and a bunch of like troglodytes come out, like half men, half ape type people. And a short fight ensues. You have great epic battle scenes of Conan. You've got to have a John Buscema epic battle scene in every issue of Conan. If not once, then several times, please, because John Buscema is awesome. So a quick fight ensues, and then this priestess comes out and says there won't be any more fighting. Look at how he draws Belit. This is one panel. This is another panel. Like I'm wondering if he's using photos for some of these, or at least a model. That looks really good. These close-ups of Belit. She's very pretty. But anyway, the city sends out all these beautiful maidens with jewels and food, and their leader comes out and offers them a deal. If you will fight these invaders that are headed towards our shores, we'll let you have all of this booty. You're not allowed inside the city, but these invaders are coming from the sea, and if you would help us fight them off, you can have all this stuff. And now we see the invaders. They have arrived after Conan and Belit have prepared. And we get our first look at the leader of them. And I'm wondering if this is that James Allison that is in the Marchers of Valhalla short stories. I'm wondering if that's him. Anyway, here's the letters page. We got to put my finger there so we come back to that, because we've got to read about Ernie Chan. But I'm wondering if this is not this James Allison who dreams of a past life as a Viking warrior. And they invade. And in this version of events, which Roy Thomas adapted freely from the Marchers of Valhalla, the Robert E. Howard stories, Conan is there to fight these guys off. Here's another epic battle panel. He's always got to have somebody looking back. Oh, that's signature John Buscema. There's always somebody in the foreground looking back at the camera in these fights. But Conan and Belit, they make pretty quick work of, I'm just going to call him James Allison. He says, nope, we can't fight. We've heard of Belit and Conan. We're out here. See ya. They leave. They fought him off. They sail away. And that problem's all taken care of. So everybody's happy, right? The prince, or whatever this guy is, comes out, says, come on in, you guys. Come on in. We're going to have a big celebration since you helped us fight it off. And these are Belit's crew. They're, what are they? They're basically from Africa. They're Africans. That's her crew, and they're African warriors and pirates. And that's them coming into the city and seeing it for the first time. And I guess it's just a marvel. So here we're having a big party. Everybody's having a great time. But Belit gets a little sleepy. And the rest of the crew's getting a little sleepy. And then Conan realizes he's getting sleepy. Oh my gosh, he passes out, and we find out that You guys are going to be a sacrifice to our goddess Ashtoreth. And that's the cliffhanger. Next issue, The Secret and the Slaughter. Awesome. I love Conan. But anyway, let's go back to the letters page. Here I'm going to read. This is a response to a letter talking about the artwork. And here's what we have. Here's the secret history of Ernie Chua / Ernie Chan revealed for the first time ever. Everybody ready? Sit down. Okay. In other words, say hello to Conan's new inker, Ernie Chan. You see, Ernie's from the Philippines, and though he's been living in the States for several years, he just recently gained his U.S. citizenship, and at that time, he decided to, for personal reasons, to set up housekeeping in the wilds of New Jersey with a brand new name. By any name, welcome back, Ernie, and congratulations on becoming an American citizen. We hereby designate you an honorary Cimmerian as well, and hope that you, Roy, and Big John continue to spin the brawny barbarian's adventures for many an issue to come. So there you have it. Ernie Chan, also in that response, it's explained that Ernie Chan left Conan for a couple years, and I think he was working on Claw the Conqueror. Was that a DC comic? And he was working on some other superhero stuff. And then he came back to Conan. So that I always wondered about that. I don't know if any other old nerds out there were wondering about that as well, or maybe it was just me. I thought that was fishy, mysterious, didn't understand it. Well, that's why I'm reading my comics in order, because it fills in all those little gaps, those little questions get answered that I've had over the years of the what and the why and the wherefore of the stories and the people behind the stories. And that's why I'm doing it. I've loved Marvel Comics since I could read. Basically learned to read on old Marvel Comics, Fantastic Fours. So, at 51 years old, I'm going back through my collection and reading them in order just to experience the history in real time. And like I said, have some of my questions answered. Like Ernie Chan or Ernie Chua. That mystery is now solved thanks to this wonderful YouTube video series. So please subscribe because it's very educational. Anyway, this was cool. If you have anything to say, please comment down below. If you would, give me a like, share the video, that would help too. And stick around for more. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.